In the sleepy town of Crestwood, the local lore spoke of an ancient forest known as Blackwood Grove. It was said to be cursed, with whispers of disappearances and dark entities lurking among the trees. Despite the warnings, a group of friends, Ryan, Sarah, Mark, and Lisa, decided to test their courage and hike through the grove one fateful weekend. They arrived just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced eerily in the fading light. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the atmosphere thickened with an unsettling silence. The trees loomed overhead like twisted sentinels, their branches clawing at the sky. "Let's set up camp here," Ryan suggested, pointing to a small clearing. The others reluctantly agreed, feeling the oppressive weight of the forest closing in around them. As night fell, they lit a fire, its flickering light casting long shadows and illuminating the faces of the friends, each of them trying to shake off the growing sense of dread. After sharing ghost stories, Mark, ever the skeptic, decided to explore further into the grove. "I'll be back in a few minutes," he said, disappearing into the darkness before anyone could protest. Minutes stretched into hours. As the fire dwindled, unease settled among the remaining friends. "We should go look for him," Sarah urged, but Ryan shook his head. "Let him be. He'll come back." But as the hours passed, the tension grew unbearable. Lisa volunteered to search for Mark. Armed with only a flashlight, she ventured into the woods, calling his name. But the only response was the rustling of leaves and the occasional snap of a twig. Suddenly, Lisa stumbled upon a clearing and found Mark, but he was not alone. In front of him stood a grotesque figure, its body a tangle of limbs and shadows, its face obscured. Mark was frozen, his eyes wide with terror. The moment Lisa stepped closer, the figure turned its gaze towards her, its eyes burning like coals. "Mark!" she screamed. But before she could reach him, the figure lunged. Mark's terrified scream was cut short as the creature wrapped its elongated fingers around his throat, crushing the life out of him. The sickening sound of bones snapping echoed through the grove, and blood sprayed from his mouth as he gasped for breath. Lisa turned to run, but the creature was faster. It darted after her, claws extended, tearing through the underbrush. She stumbled, falling to the ground. The creature loomed over her, a twisted smile spreading across its face, revealing rows of jagged teeth. In one brutal motion, it plunged its claw into her chest, ripping through flesh and bone. Sarah and Ryan, hearing the commotion, rushed into the clearing only to find the horrific scene. Mark's lifeless body lay sprawled on the ground, while Lisa was writhing in agony, blood pooling around her. They froze in shock as the creature turned its attention to them, its breath foul and rancid. "Run!" Ryan shouted, pulling Sarah away. They sprinted through the trees, branches whipping at their faces as the creature pursued, its growls echoing through the night. They raced back toward their camp, hearts pounding, adrenaline surging through their veins. Just as they reached the edge of the grove, they dared to look back. The creature had halted, its eyes glimmering in the darkness. It let out a howl that sent chills down their spines, echoing into the night. With the sun rising behind them, they emerged from Blackwood Grove, forever scarred by the nightmarish events. The forest loomed behind them, holding the memories of their friends lost to its depths. They would never return, but the horror of that night would haunt them for the rest of their lives, a chilling reminder of the dark entities that lurked just beyond the light. The sun rose over Crestwood, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, but for Ryan and Sarah, the light brought no comfort. They staggered back to town, the weight of their friends' fates heavy on their shoulders. The terror of what they had witnessed loomed in their minds, replaying the horrific moments in vivid detail. When they reached the edge of town, Ryan pulled out his phone, hands shaking as he dialed the authorities. "We need help. 2 of our friends are missing in Blackwood Grove," he stammered, his voice laced with panic. As he spoke, Sarah glanced back toward the dark tree-line, half expecting the creature to emerge, its eyes burning with malevolence. The sheriff's department responded quickly, sending a search party into the grove. Ryan and Sarah waited anxiously at the edge, dread pooling in their stomachs. Hours stretched painfully as they paced back and forth, desperate for news. Finally, the search team emerged from the trees, faces pale and grim. "We found them," one of the officers said, his voice steady but devoid of emotion. "Mark and Lisa, they're gone." "Gone? What do you mean?" Ryan asked, his heart sinking. "They were attacked. There's no sign of their bodies, just blood and—" The officer hesitated, glancing at his partner. "We recommend you stay away from the grove. Something is out there, something we can't explain." As night fell, the friends' families gathered, the atmosphere thick with grief and confusion. Ryan and Sarah exchanged haunted glances, the memories of that night etching deeper into their minds. They knew they had to share what they experienced, to warn others of the danger lurking in Blackwood Grove. Days turned into weeks, but the nightmares persisted. Each time Ryan closed his eyes, he saw the creature's twisted face, the sound of Mark's last breath echoing in his ears. Sarah, too, found no respite. She could feel the weight of Lisa's dying scream, an eternal reminder of the night that stole their friends. Desperate for closure, Ryan returned to the grove one night, armed with a flashlight and a sense of dread. He stepped carefully through the trees, every sound amplified in the stillness. "Mark, Lisa," he called, but his voice felt swallowed by the darkness. As he ventured deeper, he found himself in the same clearing where he had seen them last. The pentagram on the ground was still visible, blood stains dark against the earth. Ryan knelt, his heart racing, when suddenly, the air shifted. A low growl resonated from behind him. He spun around, flashlight beam cutting through the darkness, but the creature was there, looming, its eyes fixed on him with an insatiable hunger. Time seemed to freeze as he realized he had stepped into its territory, the woods closing in like a trap. The creature lunged, and Ryan ran, heart pounding, terror propelling him forward. But the forest was unforgiving, roots snaring his feet, branches clawing at him. He stumbled, crashing to the ground. The creature was upon him, its grotesque form blocking out the moonlight. Ryan's screams echoed through the grove, but there was no one to hear. In the heart of Blackwood Grove, another soul was claimed, the darkness consuming him whole. The next morning, the townsfolk found only the flickering remains of a campfire, a chilling reminder that some places should never be disturbed. The legend of Blackwood Grove grew, a whispered warning to those who dared to venture too close.